Let me know if you can hear me, please. Chantal, I'm assuming you started. All right, so I'm a minute early. Let's let people roll in and we'll get started. Hey, Jody, Happy New Year. So the markets are getting ready to open. And let's see, there's a Canadian manufacturing report. It's a little bit low. All right, welcome everybody to the 10-Minute Trades Trade Room, ISM Manufacturing Report and JOLTS. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember that all the trades we take and discuss are for educational purposes, and it is possible to lose money trading futures, so please trade carefully. All right, so I'm looking at a couple of different charts this morning. Right now, the markets are going to open, so the markets are going to be extremely volatile. We do have a little bit of a monkey in the room, or what do they say, a monkey wrench in the room. I forget the saying, but JOLTS does not usually trade with ISM. It's also the first trade of the new year. Probably going to be very conservative. It's not a family money trade. If you look at the daily report, the report has not been trading badly other than December, which was a stop out. It was a whipsaw, partly because the news wasn't very different from what was expected. Excuse me. So sometimes what will happen is news will get released and the result will be exactly as expected. And that will often not work for us because we want a difference in the result. That's the key for us. So just a Canadian report just came out. So I'm just going to look at the Canadian dollar to see if there was any movement on the report. It was a 9:30 report. Not really a great tradable move, in my opinion. It almost looks like the news came a little late. One of the problems, I think, is that that Canadian news was pretty close to what they were expecting. So right now the ES is moving up and we're looking at gold. Gold has an upward trend today. Our daily report, let me just start my video over. Give me 1 second. So the big question today is, it's the beginning of the year. We really don't know how the market's going to roll out. There's been some years where the markets were really great the first couple of weeks. Other years, markets are tricky the first couple of weeks. We're coming out of some difficult trading periods. The last quarter of the year was tougher than the middle quarter. So, but it's a whole new year. Everything changes in the beginning of the year. The markets seem to be pretty bullish. I think they made new all-time highs yesterday, right? The indexes. It's hard to believe, but it is what it is. Can't argue it. So let's look at our daily report for the ISM. So the tricky part today is that normally, now the JOLTS report is a report that we watch, but it's not a report that has an official trade. In other words, we don't have a daily report for it. There are still some other trades that I would consider official, even though they don't have daily reports, like the earnings trades we take. They're official, but they don't have trade reports because they're different than the way we trade most news. But we'll get into that when we have the earnings class, which is coming up. I believe the earnings class is going to be next Saturday. But ISM, the issue that we're dealing with today is that JOLTS does not normally trade with ISM. JOLTS has it's been an inconsistent report in general to trade. I've been looking at JOLTS for the better part, more than a year, and we've not been able to come up with a great setup for it. I do believe that ISM manufacturing is a much stronger impact on the markets than JOLTS. But JOLTS it is possible, it could ruin our trade. It could happen. If they both are agreeable, they're both positive or they're both negative, then usually it won't affect the trade except in a good way. If they're mixed, if one of them is a good report, positive news, and one of them is negative news, it can make the trade not work. So those are issues that we're dealing with. So besides the fact that today's the first day of New Year trading for us, it's also a little bit tricky because it's two reports that don't usually trade together. So none of my testing is ISM with JOLTS. So let's make sure that I'm right. So let's look at last month. This is December. And if I go to the time of the news, you can see on the right, I have the website investing.com. I'm looking at the news results, and there's no JOLTS trading with ISM. It's ISM by itself. It just did not work last month. Okay, here's the report. Our software is going to put the orders on the chart. There's the orders. And it popped down in one direction and then reversed and stopped us out. It was a pretty quick loss. The news was a little bit mixed in that. But the worst issue with the news was the important number, the ISM November news was almost exactly as expected. And that just created a whippy kind of move, which didn't work for us. And that was in December. Just did not work. But in November, let's see what happened in November. Hey, Mark. And ISM, sometimes it'll trade with construction spending, which doesn't really affect the trade. And you could see it hit the first target. I accidentally slid my chart over. Hit the first target, reversed, and we were able to get out just with a first target on that report. And I was testing the trap trade using micro gold, but breakouts have been working pretty well. So I'm going to go with a breakout today. Now, look, I want everybody to realize there's extra risk today because of the JOLTS report, because it's the first couple of events of the year. We don't really have a sense how the markets are yet. So, you know, it sometimes can take a couple of days before you know. All the trade sessions are not recorded for review later. No, And you should record your own, to be honest, because we just don't have the resources to record everything and post everything all the time. It's just, we're not able to do it. I highly recommend everybody make their own recordings, because that way you have the recordings. You don't want to depend on someone else. It's so time consuming. We're working on doing that, Rob, but we're just not there yet. Yeah, I got to get the first trade out of the first trade of the year out of the way. So the November report was not anything to write home about. Hit target one. It hit target one. Then October. No, Rob, no problem. There are some free recording programs you can use also. I use Snagit, Rob. It's like $60 to buy it for my short-term recording, and it's very good. It's called Snagit. It's a baby version of Camtasia. It's written by the same people. So I do want to remind everybody that's new that we do have a class today on getting started. So save your questions, honestly, specific questions, save them for the class. And the class is at noon. So in October, looking at the right side, now I think, see, October looked like it was pretty tough. I was trading on micro gold, a trap trade. Let me just check that October on the right. That looks like, so the price was heading up right before the trade, 10 seconds before the trade. And no, it looks like a good move. It stopped moving and then it just shot down. So October works pretty nicely. Actually, hold on. Yeah. Shot right down. It was a pretty big move down. And there was quite a bit of news that morning. It traded with University of Michigan consumer confidence and inflation. So that was a lot of news in one report. A lot of news always just can make it trickier. It can make it trickier. So this report is being traded not in our family money trade account. We have two accounts. For folks that want to have the lowest amount of risk and try to take the safest trades, there's two family money trades this week, and it's perfectly okay just to trade those. Wednesday, we have the ADP report tomorrow, and that's at 8:15 in the morning. That's a family money trade because it's been a very reliable trade. And then Friday is the jobs report for the US and Canada. Two separate possible trades. There is no trade report for Canada, but there's always a trade report for the United States, the US jobs report. So let me see if I can, I'm not hearing my streaming, so bear with me. So we use a couple of different tools. One of the tools that I use to help me in my trading is a website called financialjuice.com, and we pay for the pro version. They have news results. They have news a news feed in the middle. And then my favorite part is the streaming squawk box, where I can hear the news results being spoken in my head, in my headset. So that's really helpful, really helpful. I do want to welcome people on YouTube that were streaming this morning. So give us a like on there if you would. That really helps. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. You know the routine. So look, this is a report that's been, it's been doing better. This used to be a prime trade. A prime trade was a precursor to family money trades 2-3 years ago. And ISM manufacturing used to be one of the premier trades. And the world crisis really changed the report. It just stopped behaving the way it normally behaved. And it's coming out of a period of misbehaving, to be honest. I'm watching the ES because at one time we noticed that a reversal trade on the ES was not a bad alternative for this trade. But the last couple of months, trying to take that ES reversal, very tough, very tough. So let me show you how I'm going to set this trade up. What's interesting, so there is a gold trend up, right? Mark, you agree? Gold is bullish today. Mark is a big gold trader. Oh, you didn't look at gold. Well, you don't trade gold this time of day. So we are trading gold on this report. So to set up our strategy, I right-click the chart, I click on strategies, I double-click on JOBV9, and now, if you look at our trade report, the yellow line is my trade setup. That's my trade setup. So I'm going to use a bracket of 6. So in the field type bracket, I type the number 6, and I've got 2 targets. So that means 2 positions. Now, I've been watching this report a lot over the years, and I like to use a slightly smaller first target. So I'm just going to go with 6. I'm going to go 6 and 15. I do have 2 pals that I'm watching. My daughter's away. I've got 2 crazy dogs in my trading office today. So if you hear any barking, they're here for the next week and a half or so. Nothing I can do to stop them from barking if they bark. So my first target is going to be 6, and my second target, I'll go with the 15. My stop is 10 ticks. Stop loss is 10. And then my activation time, which is the same as entry time, activate, is 9:59. It's a 10 o'clock report, 9:59:59. And I'm only trading 2 contracts. And you can trade 1 contract on this if you wanted to really reduce your risk. And I would not try to talk you out of that. Like I said, you've got JOLTS trading. You've got our first real trade of the new year. The trade type is a breakout trade, okay? And I'm really trading, so I'll put my real account in. I label all my trades where it says label. Gold, ISM. Now, so that's my setup, okay? I put my charts on live. and I enable my trade by checking the enable button. Now, normally we have a logo that appears when your software is enabled, and somehow the logo got erased off of our server. And I'm talking with the programmer. I hope it'll be fixed in a couple of days. So when you enable a trade, normally we get a logo that tells us the trade's enabled. But the top line of your trading chart, if I uncheck it and then check it, it tells me that I am trading, okay, that my strategy is set up. Normally, it's nice to have that logo because it really helps. The enable button is in the NinjaTrader control panel. Make sure you're on strategies, that the tab you're clicked on is strategies. The enable button is right there. So I'm going to check, we check our time sync. So we're trading where time is important, okay? So I want my computer to be in sync, and I go to a website called time.is, and that normally puts my computer in sync. See, I just went to the website and bingo, my time is exact. So I went to the website time.is, not time.is.com, but time.is. And that actually puts my computer in sync. I did it twice. Why do we care about being in sync? Because our strategy is set up, right, where we are activating our trade 1 second before the news comes out. So it's important to be in sync, okay? It's important to be in sync. Now I'm gonna just check my charts for a second. I'm changing my time. This is not something you have to do. I just want to make sure that my bracket is perfect this morning. So I'm setting the time to 00 as if the time had already passed. I'm putting my charts back on sim because my strategy is going to trigger. And I'm just checking my brackets. That's all I was doing, checking my bracket, the size of my bracket and the current price. I just want it to be so that we can analyze the trade when we're done. So I'm going back, I'm putting my time back. So my software thought the trade had, the time was already passed when it was supposed to trigger. It's 9:59:59 is the correct entry time. So our software is going to wait until 1 second before the news comes out, and then it's going to trigger. It's going to put the orders on the chart. So gold just tested the high, no surprise there. Derek, we don't use a 20-tick chart, usually a 1 minute. Most of what we do is a 1 minute chart. I'm trading on a 30-second chart only because I want to see the squeeze signals. Down below, we use an indicator called the squeeze. I want to see the signals on a 30-second chart. Now, gold is really choppy right now, and I always reserve the right not to take a trade. If I feel that it's too risky or the market is not behaving properly, Graham, we're too close to the trade, we'll have to deal with it afterwards. That's a machine ID issue. I assume you sent us your machine ID. Okay, we'll check it after the room. No one can do anything in the room. You probably should send another email so that it gets checked to be safe. Now on the ES, so we had a possible reversal. Now I may not be able to look at it because I may not have the time, but I can set up a reversal trade on the ES very easily by just choosing trade type reversal and then choose a target. For reversal, all you need is a position or two. So let's say I'm going to try a reversal for 5 ticks and 8 ticks. Let's do 4 ticks and 8 ticks are my targets, and my stop is going to be 8. That's all I need to set up a reversal trade. No time, because a reversal is manual. Now, I may not have time to even look at it, and I'm not doing it live, but I'm putting on a reversal trade on the ES. If we have an opportunity to take it, I'll try it. Graham, make sure that you rebooted everything after you got your, after reboot everything and make sure. So you're trading on your local time, Jeff. If you use a time that's not your local time, the trade won't trigger. So you have to trigger on your local time. Some people set their charts to Eastern time or to Chicago time, right? For trading. But otherwise you need to trade on your local time, okay? Or it won't trigger because you'll be on the wrong time. So my time is our setups are for Eastern time. So I have buttons for a reversal trade. If you notice, a short button and a long button. I'm not even looking at that, to be honest. I just put it up there. I don't know that I'll have time to really pay attention to it because this ISM breakout trade, it could be very fast. It's 2 minutes away. Now, folks, I don't mind questions. Just if it's real close to the trade, I won't be able to answer. And then if it's tech support stuff that's outside of the room, it's always best to send an email to help@10minutetrades.com, because if it has to be dealt with outside of the room, it's got to be dealt with outside of the room. So remember, I set up my brackets, so I haven't changed my chart. I haven't moved my charts up and down like that, okay? So my brackets should be nicely formed a minute before the news comes out. What I want to see is a move in one direction. Now my dog is really bothering me. I can't believe this. I'm going to have to throw it out of here. Get out of here. Get. So, you know, there's a couple of monkey wrenches in this trade. We've got gold trending up. Okay. Gold is trending up. So that's, you know, that could affect the trade. With gold trending up, if the news was theoretically negative, negative news often pushes gold up. So there's a part of me that would love to see maybe a negative news report, and maybe it would continue to push gold to the upside. Here's our brackets. Okay, I took my 120. I wasn't positive. We did get, it was very choppy, folks, very choppy, which doesn't surprise me because gold was acting very choppy before the report. And then it calmed down a bit. I took a quick 12 ticks total. I did not have an opportunity to look at the ES for that reversal, I'm afraid. So we made a quick $120 on that. Now, look, if I didn't do anything, it would have hit my target right about now, okay? But look at the fill was 1812.30. Pretty far up the candle, okay? Pretty far up the candle. No, I take that back. 1811.70. Still pretty far up the candle. The news was a little bit mixed, but here's what helped the trade. JOLTS was negative, and ultimately ISM was negative, and it did push gold up. It did push gold up, okay? It pushed gold up. So, you know, in theory, I might have hit that second target if I didn't do anything. The chop kind of made me just take that little bit quicker profit, which I'm very often guilty of doing. If I have one major trading, what's the trading problem, and I do call it a trading problem. I jump out of trades too fast. I mean, it is what I do, and it's not a good habit. It's a trading habit I'm always trying to work on. But I've got to be honest, folks, you know, there's so many new people here today and so much tension. First trade of the new year, no real idea how the markets are going to behave. Makes it extremely tricky, extremely tricky. Now the ES, see, the ES didn't have a burst up. So there's not a reversal trade there. It basically was just a move down. It wasn't a reversal. You follow me? There was not a burst in one direction. Now, what's interesting with gold is I was looking to see the signal for a reverse direction, and it did come. I really just was keeping things very simple today, and I'll probably keep things simple this week. There are some things that we are working towards. I'd like to take some more reversal trades after the news. Now, see, as it popped up, I'm just going to turn off my put my crosshair on local. Look at the squeeze signals. They changed on the fourth candle. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth candle, you got a short squeeze signal that worked. The squeeze changed direction and momentum after gold popped up on the news. Okay. The ES pretty much just responding because the news was negative. That's what it looks like to me. Overall, the manufacturing portion of the news was very negative. Okay. And JOLTS was pretty negative also. JOLTS is a job opening report. So the ES, but the ES is still pretty bullish on the day. So it's pulling back some from the highs. Okay. It's pulling back some from the highs. So folks, if you want to ask a couple of questions now, I'm going to turn off my trades. We can watch the trade. Let me render the video. It takes 1 second. Let's look at the trade. What's interesting is ISM manufacturing, it may be coming back as a decent trade. It's like 5 out of 6 breakouts that have worked. So, you know, it's on the verge maybe of becoming a family money trade again. It's working. Just because it didn't work in December doesn't mean you don't run away from the trade. Let's look at the video. Today our setup was perfect. You could see the market calm down right before the trade also, right before the news. See, now we can watch the ES because now we're watching a video. Okay. So let me explain one thing that I didn't do, but I probably will do more often in the future. I have a personal trade, and I call it the gold magnet trade, or it could, depends on the instrument that we're trading. Okay. Gold, if you notice, before the news came out, gold was very bullish. That number is the number of ticks. It's up on the day for me. And the high of the day, that green line is there. I believe gold gets pulled into the high of the day very often, very, very often. And it's exactly what happened before our trade. So if you like to trade discretionary, it's a very nice probability trade that gold was going to test that high. And it did. Okay, it went from here, it went all the way up there to test the high. The reason that trade works is because the high hadn't been tested previously for a while. In other words, it wasn't tested 5 minutes ago. It wasn't tested 10 minutes ago. It hadn't been tested. The high hadn't been tested in a while. That makes the magnet trade work better. I'm going to take more of those trades. See, it made a new high before the report. We were in the room when gold was around here. And that's what I call a magnet trade. Okay. Let's watch the ES at 10. So I'm going to 10 o'clock. And you'll see what I mean. There was no reversal trade. In order to have a reversal trade, you have to have a burst in one direction on the news. So the news comes out and it goes down a little, it goes up a little. You don't have a bursting kind of move. Okay. No reversal for me. No reversal. There's just no trade there for me. Okay, so now the ES goes down, 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 down. A different discretionary trader might eventually take a reversal off of that big move, but I don't. Okay, I don't trade that way. But that magnet trade was fantastic on gold. And now let's look at our breakout real quick. On gold. So the brackets show up on the chart 1 second before the trade. It shoots up, immediately fills my first target and misses my first target, my second target by 1 tick. I pulled down my top target. Folks, bear with me. I'm sitting in an office chair and I've got a muscle cramp that is beyond belief. It almost hits my first target. If our target was 13 ticks, it would have hit the 13 tick target and filled it. Okay. I want to show you all something funny if I can do it. Let me see if I can do this. Bear with me here. Hold on. Okay, stay where you are, folks. Stay where you are. This is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm dealing with today. Give me a second. If you have questions, I'm happy to stick. But I want to show you something funny. If I can. Let me see if I can show you this. So gold, what a nice reversal. See how you're getting the first reversal signal was here? See how the squeeze changed color? You can use the high of the day as your stop, right? You can use the high of the day as your stop. That's a better trade than our regular trade today. That was a very powerful trade. I'd like to start taking some of those, but we got to get everybody acclimated first to just getting going, if you know what I mean. So, okay, let me show you something funny. If I can, let me see if I can. This is what I'm dealing with. At the exact moment of the trade, this is what I was dealing with. Let me see. At the exact moment, I'm sitting behind them, and this big black dog is smashing my hand with her face as I'm trading. Okay, the settings on the squeeze. The only thing that I change on the squeeze is the momentum, the squeeze momentum length. We use on the squeeze indicator, we use a momentum length of 17. That's the only default value that I change on the squeeze. Okay. All right, Graham, I got to check I'll check your ID after I get out of the room. I don't know if you'll be by your email, Graham, but if you give me 10 minutes, I'll try and do it now, and then maybe you can email me back if it's working. I'll try and update it in about 10 minutes from now. So keep an eye on your email, okay? I'm assuming you've emailed me. You've emailed us at help@10minutetrades.com. Okay. All right, folks, I'll see everybody at 4 p.m. today for the API report, okay? 4 p.m. for API. And don't forget, noon for our class, our private Prosper 2022 onboarding class, quick start, okay? So I'll see everybody at noon for the class, hopefully. Okay, folks. Thanks for joining the first trade room of the year, and I'll see everybody later. And you'll get used to the way we do things. This is kind of how we do it. See you, Joe. And YouTube folks, give us a like before you go. We're going to close out the stream. Give us a like before you go. All right, Chantal, you could close that down. I'll see everybody.